Today we're going to be trying one of the most innovative keto / carnivore recipes that we have ever seen. Carnivore refried beans. We can't ignore this recipe anymore because so many of you guys have been talking about this recipe, asking us to try it in our comments section. So today we bought all the ingredients and said, hey, we're going to do it. Especially since the creator of this recipe has not let us down in the past. Like the carnivore mashed potatoes. Sarah and I had such doubts about that recipe, but when we tried it, we were blown away because it actually tasted like mashed potatoes. And if you're new here, my twin sister Sarah and I have lost 160 pounds following a technically keto lifestyle, and on our channel, we love trying and testing recipes for all of you. So if you like our vibes, please subscribe and join our tribe because we're trying to get to 250,000 subscribers this year. Sarah and I are not carnivore, but that doesn't mean that you can't try carnivore recipes to kind of bring down the carb count in other ingredients in your life. So we're gonna be making my mom's famous individual nachos at the end of this video, and that's how we eat nachos. They're so good, so make sure to watch to the end. So I'm gonna include a disclaimer here. Sarah and I are not gonna be giving you guys the full ingredient list and the measurements for this recipe because we want you to visit Chris's recipe because he's the one that created this recipe. We're just trying it today. Please visit Chris Cooking Nashville's channel. We're gonna be leaving a link to this video in the description below so you can get all the measurements. So to make Chris Cooking Nashville's refried beans, you're gonna be needing lard, cream cheese, eggs, cumin, garlic powder, paprika, toasted gelatin, which is gelatin that you heat on a pan and toast it yourself, salt to taste, 8 ounces of no sugar bologna, which is kind of the curveball in this recipe, and egg white protein powder. We have a bag of it, and it's in a lot of recipes these days, so it's not that uncommon. So first off, you're gonna wanna toast your unflavored gelatin in a dry skillet. You're just gonna be heating this for a while until it turns a nice like golden color because that's gonna add a lot of flavor to the refried beans.
Which are not beans.
Which are not beans, Sarah.
Eggs.
Eggs. Sarah and I have an egg version. So all these recipes that are like innovative, they all tend to have eggs, which is good because then we can like get over our version or add to it, whichever one.
How long have we been cooking? At least 10 minutes. We're gonna crank up the heat a little bit, and then we're gonna try to get this to be at least a little bit of a darker yellow. I think it's getting there a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, more so than it was, but it took a while. It's like 20 minutes later. Next, we're gonna start with the other interesting aspect of this recipe. We're gonna be heating up some lard over medium heat, and to that we're gonna be adding cream cheese. And we're gonna melt that all together. I have never cooked cream cheese and lard before. This is new.
We're gonna keep an open mind, right,
And an
Emily?
open heart. Right. Our cream cheese has melted, and now we're gonna be adding in 8 eggs. But wait, it gets weirder than this. Pinch of salt, garlic powder, paprika, cumin.
So the instructions say to cook this fully and scramble it until there are no liquids left. So that's what we're gonna do. Emily is going to mix it thoroughly and make sure that it's a nice solid mass.
There's no more liquid, so we're gonna add this into our blender with our toasted gelatin. Just gonna throw it in there. And if you didn't think that this recipe was weird already, let's talk about our next ingredient, bologna. He says to use a sugar-free bologna. Boar's Head has a good bologna. You're supposed to hand tear the bologna into the blender, but I just cut it. We're just gonna put it in. I don't know, what else can I say?
Not sure how he came up with this, but
Yeah.
I'm glad someone is experimenting.
Because we're not.
No.
There was plenty of movement going on in the beginning of this blending process, but it has slowed down. So we are going to be adding in about a 1/4 cup of water to get things moving again. He says to shake your blender, but I'm going to just kind of mix it, scrape it, mix it down the sides. Next up, we're gonna add in our egg white powder. So at this point in the recipe, you're supposed to taste it. I think that's going to ruin the surprise, but you're supposed to adjust for seasoning at this point. I'm just gonna add in a little bit more cumin and a pinch of salt. At this point, we're gonna add in more egg white protein powder. So it's very, very smooth. Too smooth to be refried beans. So I think I get where he's coming from with this next step, which is you're gonna add 1/3 of this mixture into a bowl and you're gonna microwave it and blast it because you wanna add back in some of that texture.
Microwaving for 2 minutes.
So this is hot. So this is what it looks like. It looks like
Peanut butter.
peanut butter is a very positive spin on what this looks like. I like that because I'm all about positivity.
Sure.
We're gonna be mashing this with a whisk because we're gonna wanna create small pieces, which is gonna add back in that texture into your carnivore refried beans. We're gonna reunite the blended stuff into the other stuff.
I will say it's a little lighter than I think what beans are normally, but it looks pretty good. Looks, I would say 90% like refried beans.
So like I said in the beginning of this video, we're gonna be making nachos out of these refried beans. You could use pork rinds or lettuce or something. That's not carnivore, but that's keto. We're gonna be going with some Hero low carb tortillas. These are 0 net carb tortillas that we really love incorporating into our lifestyle a couple times a week. They are really, really good when you cover them with oil and then bake them, which is how we're gonna be making our nacho chips. So we're gonna be cooking these in the oven until they're kind of golden. Then we're gonna get on to assembling our nachos.
Yeah, cut it again. I think those are too big. My mom used to make these all the time. I haven't had them in about 20 years.
We are just brushing them with a little bit of olive oil.
How long are these gonna go for?
Probably 10 or 15 minutes, right?
Okay.
So for our nachos, we eat them a little bit different. Our mother used to make individual nachos. We love doing it this way because it makes the perfect bite every single time and you don't have like a bunch of chips at the bottom with nothing on it. So we're gonna add a little dollop of our refried beans, maybe a teaspoon of the beef, cover that with cheese. We're gonna stick them into the oven, let that cheese melt, and then we're gonna top it with the rest of our toppings.
In for like, I don't know, a couple minutes?
A minute or two?
Yeah. A lot.
It's not. Is it?
Sizable.
Come on. Oh my gosh, look how perfect.
These take more time to do, but they're definitely worth it.
And a little bit of tahini. This is just spices and dehydrated lime. Amazing. 0 carbs, but tons of flavor. Okay, so we're having kind of a debate whether we should try the nachos in their final form first or try the refried beans first. But I am going with nacho, so I don't care what you say.
Okay, well, you remind me of my childhood, but they were for reals.
It's good.
The Hero tortilla is really crispy, just like a normal tortilla chip.
I can taste the texture of it, but the flavor of the ground beef on top with all the spices, and I'm really just tasting like that. I'm not like having any other taste, although all you're gonna taste from the refried beans is seasoning anyway.
Right.
But you're right. You have to try it on its own. I brought you a spoon.
Thank you. Does it have any sort of smell? Maybe we should do a smell test. Not really.
I mean, it smells like cumin.
Yeah. It does taste like it. I do get a little bit more egg here, I guess, than I did with the other recipe that we tried by him, which was the mashed potato recipe. But it is surprisingly similar in consistency. The creaminess really reminds me of refried beans.
When you taste it on its own, you really get those little parts of the egg that you cooked and blasted in the microwave because they're harder. It does taste like the shells of the beans that you would get in refried beans. I'm amazed.
How do people come up with this?
I don't
Chris,
know.
How did you come up with this?
And the bologna, I have to ask you where you came up with that.
Yeah, the bologna. I don't taste the bologna anymore, right? Do you?
No.
The bologna, it's not even in here anymore. It has transformed into this creamy, bean-like consistency.
I wonder how long this would keep in the fridge, because this is a lot.
I think he mentions it in his video if you can reheat it or not.
These are awesome.
Make sure to check out Chris Cooking Nashville's video on this if you guys want the specifics. You guys need to try this. And Chris, keep doing what you're doing, and we're gonna keep testing them. If you guys want to see us try another one of Chris's recipes, which were the really awesome mashed potatoes.
That were not mashed potatoes.
They were not mashed potatoes at all. You can click on the video on the screen and we'll see you over there. Anyway, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Emily.
And we are the Keto Twins signing out.
Open up. It's actually really good.
Yeah, that's not even bad.